What's going on, everybody? Sean Daniel here with Guitar Control. A lot of sadness in the world today, everywhere you turn. So it's good to know how to play the song Happy, whether it be ironically or legitimately. I think this is kind of a super easy chord progression. It's 3 chords to make up a whole song and a riff, and we're going to talk about some kind of different dynamic ways that you can make it interesting for this guitar arrangement. So definitely click the link below because I'm going to tab out the riff that we're doing here and list the chords so you can follow along a little bit better. And basically it's going to sound a little bit like this. So it's actually kind of like a fun, upbeat way to play. Again, this is just kind of like a guitar arrangement that's trying to be faithful to the components of the original that made it such a hit song. All right, playing with the capo on the 1st fret, and the first chord we're going to use E major chord right here. All right, so open E, 2nd fret relative to the capo on the A string with your middle finger, 2nd fret on the D string with your ring finger, pointer finger on the 1st fret of the G string. Okay, now a lot of times we can switch back and forth, kind of, interchangeably whenever you feel like it, with an E7 chord, okay? And that's actually kind of interesting about this because, this is a song about happiness and cheerfulness, and the arrangement of this and the strumming pattern is really kind of, tries to get at like the core of what the song is about and the emotions that it tries to convey. Really cool song, right? So we're going to do this at first. We're going to start with the E major, and then we're going to take it to an E7, all right? All you got to do is lift your ring finger up to make it an E7 to kind of give it a little bit of a different vibe. And now really the strumming is kind of the most important part. So if we look at that, again, up tempo would be like... So all of this is really the right hand, okay? And the strumming pattern is going to be like... Now, I'm not a big fan of being like, okay, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. It's always better to count out whatever you're doing, even if you have to slow it way down. The song is in 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and slow it down even more than that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now again, you'll notice I'm not counting it as like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's swung a little bit. So all those beats aren't going to be like exactly how you would line it up on a grid in like a software program or something like that, but being able to count in a swing I think is kind of important to help you really learn a strumming pattern like this. Now the reason that it has this forward propulsion is because we're getting a lot of strums on the and count, on the upstroke, right? So what I mean by that is if every downstroke, 1, 2, 3, 4, is a full number on the beat, the and of 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and is going to be upstroke, okay? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now the and of 2 and the and of 3 are going to be kind of pronounced. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And now you'll notice that on the back end of that bar, the 4 and the and of 4, I'm getting a mute. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And because we're kind of backloading the and of 2 and the and of 3 along with mutes followed up, it kind of gives it this driving force that is something that you can really kind of like, once you get that down, you can use that in absolutely any song. It doesn't have to just be this song. But big fan of being able to dynamically strum things so it's not always just, Really, your strumming hand technique is super important no matter what kind of style guitar, style strumming you're doing, okay? Now we're going to chase that E to E7 progression with a version of the riff, okay, and it's really easy. It's just so again, it sounds like this. almost kind of like a bluesy minor pentatonic thing over an E7, which is almost kind of ironic that this is kind of like a bluesy thing when you break it down into like just a guitar note thing, but it's so happy, right? It doesn't make a lot of sense, but it works. Open 3, open A, 3 E, hammer on A, open to 2 and back open. Okay, so again, click the link below because I think for this it might even be a little bit easier just to see it in a tab form. Open 3 A, 3 E, hammer on 3 E. And then the last part is open 3 E, E, E. Bum, 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 bum. And that last one can kind of be the intro, the root note. And again, really, interchange that E to that E7. You can do it in the same bar. E7. It really kind of creates a cool feel, and it will really just kind of give you an idea of some of the value that dominant 7 chords, E7 is E dominant 7, can really provide. Okay, so those are just going to be what we're going to call the verses of the song, all right? And then the clap along part, the chorus of it, which is going to sound like this. Really, 3 chords. We have a C major, but instead of the regular C major, a lot of people kind of first start learning where it's 3A, 2D, open G, 1B, open E. I want to get a little more thickness, so get your ring finger up to grab that low G note, again, relative to the capo. You know, this C chord with the capo on the first fret is actually a C sharp. We're still going to call it a C, right? So now it's 3E, 3A, 2G, or 2D, open G, 1B, E. Same strumming pattern. To B minor, okay? So 2A, 4D, 4G, 3B, and then optionally you can get the second fret relative to the capo again on the high E string if you want to make it a B minor bar chord, right? Where you get all 5 on the bottom strings, but not necessary. If bar chords are something you're having a hard time with, don't fret it. Don't let that spoil your happiness. Really just get the middle 4 strings and then high string, don't even worry about it. You'll probably accidentally mute it until you can get it anyways. So don't make seeing that chord be a deal breaker for an otherwise really easy song. Same strumming pattern. Now, one thing that I like to do when we're doing this live is to hammer on the chord in maybe like a minor 7 shape. I always think that's like a really cool trick to do. Again, this is totally optional. However you want to play this is all up to you. But if you just have like, you know, this one finger to bar the fret and then come down with your middle finger and your ring finger right where they would be normally, or even with the whole chord, I think that kind of hammer-on thing adds a lot of movement into a solo acoustic guitar arrangement, no matter what the song is. Any minor chord, you can always make a minor 7 hammer-on, which is something I do a lot in my own personal playing. So we have a C chord, back to E, maybe E7, that's C, back to E. Okay, now one thing that might be difficult, I would say the most difficult part of the song is that transition from a C to a B, because it's pretty quick, right? That to that can be really, really tough if, you know, maybe you're just kind of like at the beginner stages or even intermediate stages if you haven't done it a lot. Now, the great thing is, like we talked about in the strumming part of the lesson earlier, is the 4 and the and of 4 in that count are muted. Okay, that doesn't mean you have to stay and mute the C chord, because a mute is a mute. There will be slightly different tonalities between a mute here and a mute here, but honestly, like, it's more of a percussive thing that we're not so worried about. So use that last beat and the and of that last beat to start making your way to the next chord. That's really the best advice I can give you, just switching chords in general. Learn to use the back end of a bar to buy your fretting hand more time to get to the next chord. And then eventually you'll be able to like really fly through them, but be able to play the song up to time in the meantime. So like a very slowed down version of that would be like... And honestly, even if it can also be tricky just muting things as you're going to another spot. Again, I was totally there. I remember that very, very vividly being a difficult thing for me to do. Abandon that entire chord and just hit the open string set in the fourth beat. So what I mean by that is... I'm just abandoning ship with my entire hand in between, so then I can kind of start making the shape for the next chord in the air while I'm just kind of coming up with air. It's always better to be able to play in time and have something exist in those beats, even if it's not like this right here. Not really technically counting as a chord in this progression, right? It's just an open string set, but it's really valuable because no matter what key you're playing in, an open string set at the end of a bar is always a great way to buy yourself time to get back into the next chord, or even, you know, turn the whole thing around. So again, we have the verse, maybe in E7 with the riff. Do that as many times, you know, as you want if you're playing with a singer, or you can really just kind of there's so much that you can do in like a E minor pentatonic type scale over that, and kind of just make up your own riff variations on that if you want to, and then eventually we take that into the next part. There's the C, B minor to E, E7, C, and again I'm kind of exaggerating, leaving that part, or just muted with the hammer on. So again, I think it's really simple song that you get to really practice a lot of your dynamics with. You get to practice a little, you know, kind of fun riff with it, and just kind of like maybe some new stuff that maybe you haven't tried in what is kind of a universally accepted happy song. Now, some people might be like, it's so happy it's annoying. Hey, whatever. We're not here to judge. If you're trying to spread joy through music, do your thing. And please check out other videos on the Guitar Control channel and let us know what you think. If you have feedback on any of these videos, I also have a class that we're going to link below that just kind of goes through overall like the main 10 chords that you need to start out playing really any song, because that makes a lot of chord transpositions with the capo and stuff a lot easier. If you're interested, again, click the link below. We'll get you some more information. And until then, we'll catch you next time. Thanks a lot.